But then this week, and it was my final trade on Wednesday on this show, was the AMD puts. And what are they doing? They're buying the July 1st expiring both in NVIDIA and in AMD, the puts. And boy, were they right. Both of those two stocks have absolutely gotten hammered as we've gotten just 2 days later. You take a look at where they're trading. As a matter of fact, NVIDIA, they really just got cranked. And so those options absolutely exploding to the upside. Fortunately, buying some of those puts and then selling them, I'm out of both of those right now. They do expire at the end of the day. I'm already out of both of those. But the last thing I will mention is Taiwan Semiconductor, because huge buying out there as well. They went out till October and they were buying deep in the money puts. In other words, trying to get leverage, trying to trade something very much like selling stock. It's going to move at the same delta. So that's something that really stood out for me as well. So I don't know that it's over for the semiconductors right now.
Well, Jim, here's a list of the price cuts on Micron today. Goldman, Mizuho, Deutsche Bank, Wedbush, Raymond James, JP Morgan, and there's probably some others.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at this is a mid-cycle slowdown. I know everybody's talking about recession, and we discussed it earlier, but again, with the supply chain onshoring and the strength of the labor market, I think this downturn is going to be short-lived. So during a downturn, chip orders go down, and that is probably going to be magnified by what was double ordering in the last 18 months to make sure you got some chips. But it's something that, again, as we get to the end of the year into the fourth quarter, we're going to be looking forward to that supply chain onshoring, and we're going to be past the bulk of the Fed's rate hikes. So it's, sometime in the third quarter, these things should bottom, and you should be buying them.
But let's go full Harrington today. Full Harrington, Jenny. This one's for you. All the price cuts that I just referenced, they're all still higher than the current price. So they're just less optimistic, but still optimistic.
The less optimistic.
Full Harrington.
So I think what we lost sight of during the last 2 years is we turned all these chip companies into stories. We thought NVIDIA was like a big, beautiful, unique story. Guess what? It wasn't. All of these things, they're ultimately cyclical commodities, and we need them for everyday life. So even if demand is weakening now, guess what? It's going to bump up in the future, and it ultimately ends up being just a supply-demand game on the semiconductors too, on the equipment companies, on the testing companies. So what do? You buy them when sentiment is terrible, and right now we're pretty close to terrible sentiment. So I can get behind them being higher later. And the prices of some of them are cheap now, particularly compared to a year ago.
Well said.
Can I say one more thing?
Optimism Friday here on the Halftime Report. We like.
Hey, Brian, I think it's
still.
Wait, sorry about that. Go ahead. I was going to say, I think it's still way too early to step into most of these. Typically, when you want to buy these is when PMIs go sub 50 as a contrarian play. I think, they've been trading weak on a relative and absolute basis. And the cyclical, weaker goods demand outweighs the secular, more chip penetration. So when we look at this, we own two names, obviously, that we wish we were a little lighter in right now. But I think if you really want to go overweight the sector, you wait till then. That's when you see the whites of the eyes and you move forward.
Okay. Well, we've had a Purchasing Managers Index and Personal Consumption Expenditure reference, both by C-Chan, PMI and PCI. Like it, throwing it all around. All right. Do not miss an exclusive interview with the Micron